Hi guys, happy Mother's Day. We wanted to come on the podcast today and do a fun little episode because what better way to celebrate Mother's Day than having our own mothers on this podcast. We're going to do a little spin on what it's like to be a mother in New Jersey.
Oh yeah.
So here is a very fun, exciting episode with mine and Alex's mothers.
Enjoy, everybody, and happy Mother's Day to everybody, all women. You're all amazing and superheroes, and we're very grateful for everybody in our lives. But again, especially to our moms, so please enjoy.
We hope you get some good laughs out of it.
Where's the fish? She brought me sprinkle cookies.
So what, no fucking ziti now? Hey!
Maybe she's from Jersey. Hello, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Maybe She's from Jersey. We're your hosts, Jackie Neese.
And Alex Curtis.
Today we have a very fun episode because we have our beautiful mothers with us. You want to introduce yourself, Mom?
I'm Linda Neese, Jackie's mom. This is also Bentley.
Bentley Neese, my other mom.
Mom, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Risa Curtis, Alex's mom.
And obviously, you can tell we're related.
Yeah, related. Yes. I look a little more like Bentley than I do you, but no. We brought my 4.5-pound Chihuahua here today because, well, one, he's adorable. And look how cutie he is. Oh, my God. Okay, so if you happen to slightly like me or my big Alex, you can thank these women right here.
Right.
So the ones who raised us. So, we tortured them to come onto the podcast today.
They're
And
very busy women, though.
They are.
We've rescheduled 3 times.
yeah. And they're like, no, I don't feel like doing that today. And I'm like, okay.
My mom, literally. Cool. She's like, oh, I'm actually, not free anymore.
Oh, sure. Wait, that was me too.
Yeah. That was literally you too.
Really quick, though. So today we went to Top That Donuts in Rutherford, New Jersey. Incredible. So incredible that I prefer these donuts, which are 45 minutes from me. We will post a picture on the Instagram, but they're stunning.
We ate a lot of them already, but if you
They
can
were
see that.
awesome.
And obviously, they were super good, but I would like to preface and sort of a shout out to them. At this birthday party, there were tons of desserts, 13 types of desserts, and everybody was coming up to me or my mom or whatever, and they were like, these donuts are so good. Where did you get them? And every time I would kind of be like, thank you. They are really good. Sadly, they're nowhere near us.
They're way up north.
But yeah, huge shout out to them. They were a hit at this party. I was super excited to get them again. I think we got Crumble in the Jungle, some sort of cookie monster, Oreo looking thing, a glazed. And we got a Fruity Pebbles and a chocolate, for Joe, because Joe.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna, I guess, dive right in.
These are
so many
interventions.
questions.
Yeah.
So why don't you briefly introduce yourself?
So I was born in Manhattan, New York, and then we lived in the Bronx until I was about 3 years old. And then we moved to the suburbs in New Jersey, and I lived in East Windsor, and then I moved to a bougie town, Manalapan.
She had to preface it like that.
And that's where I grew up.
Okay.
Go ahead, Linda.
Well, I was born in Montclair, New Jersey, and I lived in Bloomfield till I was 8 years old. And then we moved to Springfield, New Jersey, where I still live and raised my kids.
Yeah, she's literally lived in the same house since she was 8 years old.
But I have to say it was all redone.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah.
So I was born in Montclair, but grew up in Bloomfield, New Jersey.
Okay, tell us about that.
It was the Forest Glen area. And when I was a little girl, there really wasn't much to do in that area. So we were outside playing with the other kids. But we had a golf course right next to us. And there was a hole in the fence. And we used to play on the golf course all the time. We built a tree fort there, tobogganing, sledding in the winter. That was really where I grew up, and jumping off the garage roofs and stuff like that.
Tell them about how you used to walk to the grocery store by yourself when you were 3 years old.
Yeah, so I was probably about 4, and I took these 2 other little kids, maybe they were 3, and I decided to go to the grocery store. and didn't
help out.
tell anyone where we were going. So yeah, walked to the grocery store and then decided to walk to my grandmother, who also lived in Bloomfield. So we had the police force looking for us, and it was great. They found us in the park, and we had no shoes on, and really, I don't know how I did that, but
Such a gypsy mom.
I was a gypsy.
So tell us, like, what was, I mean, you don't really remember the Bronx, maybe just Manalapan?
I don't remember the Bronx. Well, in Twin Rivers, I lived there till I was 12, and we loved it. It was a townhouse development, and there was blacktop all through the back, so you could ride our bikes and go for walks. There was no cars. There was pools, and there was a 7-Eleven and a shopping center. I grew up in a very traditional family. My dad went to work in New York City every day, commuted via the the bus, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so it was just kind of, we did stuff around the development, went to like mommy and me type of classes. I have a sister who's 5 years younger than me. And once she was born, she was the center of attention, and I was very jealous. But
Ditto.
yeah. My dad, we used to spend a lot of time on the weekends because he didn't have a son, and he used to love to go out driving on the weekends. So he would take me because I was older, and we would listen to music. I learned like Pink Floyd and Foreigner and Styx and all like the old rock music from the 70s. We would go, and he would just show me like things that he would show his son. Like we go to the car dealership, we go to the store and buy things. He was always the one that bought me music. He bought me my first album. It was the Grease album. It opened up into 3 sides. And my mom was just very typical. She was anally clean.
That's what you tell me the most about her, is that like if the vacuum marks weren't going the right way, she redid it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
she
like
was-
you.
Yeah.
I got that too.
Yeah. It was just
If
like
I didn't
living in a
vacuum
museum.
correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was hard to have friends over because she didn't want anybody to touch anything. So we played a lot outside. But we went on vacations every year. We spent a lot of time with my grandparents on both sides of the family, so that was nice. And my mom was very close with her brothers. So we spent a lot of time up in North Jersey, actually in Rutherford. My uncle lived in Moonachie.
Awkward.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What are the odds
Yeah.
of our food choice today?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them like about your grandparents?
Okay. My mom's side of the family were my grandmammy and my poppy. My grandfather came from nothing. He was a taxi car driver. And my grandmother came from a very rich family in Pennsylvania. She didn't know that the Depression was happening. She used to take a limo to school, and my grandfather was eating an onion for dinner. And I'm not really sure how they met, to be honest with you, but they did. And my grandparents, I think my grandma's parents were not so thrilled.
Well,
But
he came from nothing.
so they were always very sweet, and I spent a lot of time there. And my dad's parents were completely different. They were grandma and grandpa. They lived still in the Bronx, in Riverdale, which was like a nice part of the Bronx. Nice. And my grandma was a nutritionist, but she loved candy.
Didn't they call her Cookie?
They called her Cookie, yes. And my grandpa used to call her Cookie.
That's cute.
And I had a big porch, and I remember sitting out on the porch and eating a lot of candy. And I was a very picky eater, so they would always have like specific things for me to eat. And my grandfather was a terrible driver, and we used to always have to go for rides, and everybody would fight in the car. And I remember that vividly. My grandma would be like, "Get down on the back floor of the car because Grandpa's going to kill us." But yeah, no, I had a very traditional childhood.
Okay, congrats. All right. Go ahead, Linda.
What about you, Lenny?
Okay, so we'll start with my mother and my father.
Yes,
My mother was a stay-at-home mom. She worked since she was 14 years old, and she met my father when she was 14. He was 18, and then he enlisted into the Army. They got married when he came out, and he actually had something called Gaucher's disease, so he ended up being quite sick through the rest of his life. I just remember a lot of operations, him always going to work on crutches, trying very hard to support his family. My mother also was very much there, always taking care of us. But my father and my mother were phenomenal parents. My father was very, very well respected. And he just loved his family enough and got up and worked every day of his life, no matter how ill he was. He had a total of 8 total transplants, hip transplants, and spleen removal. He went through a lot, but I guess the love of his family is what really kept him going. Grandparents, his mother and father. So my grandmother came over when she was 16 years old. She had a very rough life. She witnessed her parents being killed overseas in Europe and did make it here when she was 16. Met my grandfather. They married and had a set of twins, which was my father and my uncle. And
They were identical twins.
Identical twins,
that's cool.
yeah. And they were wild. So my other side was my mother's mother and father, and they lived in Brooklyn in Flatbush. So we would always go there every other weekend. There was always large family there. We always sat around and had dinner and talked. They would be to our house. We had family on the island, so we also went there quite a bit. That was...
On the island?
So Long Island.
Yeah.
She made that sound so fancy.
On the island.
But people get offended if you say, like, oh, I'm in Long Island. They're like, honey, you're on Long Island.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit more about like after high school and what your life was in your early 20s at our age.
After high school, trying to remember what I did.
You were an opera singer. You were an opera singer.
That's fancy.
I did. I studied opera for a little while, but it was harder back then. It's not like what it is now and how you have social media and connections to get to where it's easier to get to. But I did study opera for a while, and then I didn't. So I did acting, and I guess Jackie kind of followed in those footsteps somewhat, but not, she's done so much more than I ever did. And in my 20s, I traveled, and when I was 25, I met my husband, her father, Giacomo, which probably was the best start of my life.
Tell them how you met. Tell them the story of how you met.
Here we go.
So there was a club called...
It doesn't get more Jersey than this. Okay.
We were in a club called the Red Parrot in Manhattan, and he was very well known. He was had a huge business, and all of a sudden, with the music playing, I started to hear everybody going, "Oh my God, Giacomo's here! Giacomo is here! Giacomo's here!" I'm like, "Who is this Giacomo?" Like Giacomo, and I'm thinking that he's this very distinguished person and tall, and I'm going to see somebody like very well dressed. And then a friend had introduced me to this person, and he said, "This is Giacomo." And he was in a beat cap with a ripped guinea tee and ripped jeans, and I'm like, "That's Giacomo?" But he shook my hand, and that was it. It was butterflies, and we were just inseparable from that time on.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Cute. All right, go ahead, Mom.
Okay.
Okay. So 18, you graduated high school.
I graduated high school, and I did not go to college like most of my friends did. I got a job at a law firm in South Orange, New Jersey, and I worked there for a couple of years, and then I moved back home. I had met my husband, your dad.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
By the way, he's your dad.
Look just like him.
Actually, while I was in high school, and we were just friends. He was 4 years older than me, and this is a weird story.
This is so funny.
He came to our school to do a don't do drugs program. He was in a rehab and he had gotten busted, and part of his rehabilitation was to attend this drug rehab for 2 years instead of going to jail. So that's how I met him.
What a class act.
I know. But he was interesting, not because I thought he was cute, like his head was like shaved because he had gotten in trouble at the rehab, but he had talked about being adopted and kind of blamed his troubles doing drugs on being adopted. And I was adopted too, and so that annoyed me. I was like, you're blaming your drug problem on being adopted? So I actually confronted him on it.
She's like, bullshit.
I call bullshit on that. And he was just shocked that I like said this. And this was very unlike me. I was very shy in high school. I didn't talk to random people. People thought I was snotty because I was shy, but it was just because I was shy, not snotty. But we stayed in touch, and through the years, we just started dating. My mom was killed in a car accident when I was 22, and he was there for me big time in my family. And then we moved to Florida together.
Jersey with palm trees.
Yes, we ended up moving to Florida together. We got married in 1995. I was 26. And I got pregnant with Alex like 6 weeks later. And we've just had a great life. I mean, it was rough in the beginning. We didn't have anything, but it was great.
Yeah, so we're like approaching the ages where they like married.
Yeah, that's gross.
Weird. Yeah. Okay.
What's your favorite memory of us? Is it pulling me by my hair up the stairs to put me in timeout?
God.
That was such a beautiful moment for me.
That wouldn't be a favorite moment, although you certainly were wild from the time you were 2.5 to 3.5. Yeah, you were such a perfect baby, and then turned 2.5 and grew horns, and used to take fits and.
This is supposed to be a complimentary question, Mom. You're supposed to be complimenting me now.
Derailed.
What is our favorite memory?
Anyway, our favorite memory.
She's like, well, you were a bitch, so it's really hard.
Well, no, I want to say from 2.5 to 3.5, you were just an extremely bright child, so you knew how to manipulate me.
Yeah,
which
that's
I
a good
didn't
spin.
know. That somebody that young could be that smart and know how to do those things. I mean, just your start of even like getting accepted and going through cold call of American Idol was just amazing, because you did that on your own. You went through like 20,000 people and got chosen to go on to California and be in front of the judges for American Idol, and got aired. And the fact that I was able to go with you and see every moment of you doing that and watching that transpire probably was one of my best moments of watching your career take off at that point, and you knowing that that's where you wanted to be. And it was awesome.
That's a good one. When I first got her as a little, I obviously knew her name, and I stalked her, and all her YouTube stuff came up, including this American Idol clip. And I was like, oh my God, that's my little.
Meant to be.
But it's just surreal when it happens to your daughter, and you get to be there to watch this happen, and everybody is deserving of it. But you're also so deserving of it, and I was thrilled that you got that opportunity.
Thanks, Mom.
And that I got to do it with you.
I don't think she was happier that they were like, oh, she's a minor, so you have to go. And she was like, absolutely.
I'm going anyway.
Yeah. She was like, well, I'd be buying a ticket either way, so.
All right, Mom, you can just teeter off that. You can answer the same question. A good, I don't want to say best, because that is hard,
That's
but like
so hard.
a really
Yeah.
good memory.
I mean, most of my good memories are us being out at places. I would never like staying at home with you. So I loved all of our trips to like Sesame Place and the beach and just hanging out. We have a close group of friends, which all the other kids would hang out. Like all those memories. I took videos of you doing everything. Like all of those things were just made me smile. Like, just, you were a happy kid, and you were always someone that if you wanted something, you were gonna find a way to get it.
That's still her.
And it's still her. It is.
Yeah.
Yes. And not in a bad way. Like she just, I don't know. You sparkled from the moment you were born.
Wow.
Oh, that was so cute.
What can I say?
True.
Okay, this is my favorite episode. You guys should come every week and just give us compliments.
I'm just going to ask you guys random questions so our viewers can get to know you. Did you have a best friend growing up? And like, what was your relationship like?
Okay, so I did and still do have this same best friend. When we moved to Twin Rivers when I was 3 years old, a girl moved next door and we became best friends. And to this day, we're still friends. I moved away when I was 12 and it was heartbreaking. Like we literally spent every day together. We learned about God together, about where babies came from together, like everything. We got in trouble together. We went swimming together. I mean, we literally knew everything about each other. We played dolls together. They were like our babies. It's how we learned to become moms, or at least we thought so. And when we separated, and even though it was only 12 miles away, when you're a little kid, you don't know that. I thought she lived in another country. I mean, it was like our parents weren't friends, so we literally lost contact, and it was horrible. But then when I was 17, I reached out to her, and she had the same phone number, and we reconnected, and we've been close ever since. Our lives are very different. She married a guy that came from a religious big family, and she converted to Catholicism, and she has 9 kids.
Wow.
And 4 grandchildren right now.
Oh my gosh.
She's still one of the most fun people I know.
She's a fun gal.
She likes tequila. It's a secret.
I like tequila.
Oh, Linda, we have to hang out. But yeah,
Tell them the story about your hair.
oh God. We were out playing with friends outside, playing dolls, and we were playing like hairdresser. And this girl that lived on the same street as us, she cut my hair. She went with a real scissor.
Oh my God.
We weren't supposed to do that, and I looked like a boy for like 2 years.
Oh my God.
And my sister always posts pictures of it on Facebook. I'm like,
Oh my God.
She
Torture.
literally every year for my mom's birthday goes, "Happy birthday," and it's a boy. It's my mom.
ugliest picture of me. I'm
That
like,
is
oh,
so
thanks.
funny.
Linda, did you have a best friend growing up?
You should talk
So-
about Penny.
I have a friend by the name of Penny, who I met when I was 15 years old,
Oh, we know of Penny.
and we are still best of friends. My friend Penny and I have just been through life together, and so when we met, she was friends with a group of girls.
This is funny.
That I was seeing this guy, and one of her friends was seeing him too, I guess. And they wanted her to beat me up along with them.
Yeah.
So we met one day in the mall is how we met, and she was like, I don't want to beat up Linda, I like her. So we ended up best of friends for many, many years. She is my sister. As far as Penny, we live our life together. There isn't a day usually that goes by that we do not speak with each other or see each other.
Literally.
And I'm also very, very blessed because I've had a group of friends. I have my girlfriend, Sue, who I met when I was 19 on a party line. And then I have my girlfriend, Lori, that I met when I was 19. Still best of friends with.
Damn, you're really naming them all, Mom.
I am. I'm
My
gonna
friends
put
are
them
going to be
out
so
there.
upset when we're going to name them all.
We're gonna talk about
So
it.
I have.
No, you're lucky when you have good friends
So-
in your life.
Yeah.
I am going to say that my friends in my life, Cindy, Carla, Teresa, like these people,
Alex.
they're my sisters. they're phenomenal people.
Yeah.
So, and I love them very, very much.
Her friend group gave me a very false expectation of what girls were going to be like in my future because they were always just there in their lives. Like every Friday they were always together.
Wait,
the
and
husbands.
my girlfriend Marae. I can't forget my girlfriend Marae.
Yeah. Like, and I thought I was going to grow up and be like, great, I'm going to have this big friend group of girls. Like, everyone's going to be so supportive. Yeah, no, that's not what happened at all. I literally just have Alex.
Oh, that's not true.
That's all you need.
That's all you need.
One good friend.
No, it's true, though.
My mom honestly has a very similar. I feel like we've talked about this, Linda. My mom
Yeah.
has a very similar friend group, which you can disclose because you know
nice.
they're going to be expecting.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I did go off on that.
No, that's fair because good friends are important. And
wouldn't-
sometimes they're closer than family.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what to do without them.
Yeah, no.
I'm blessed.
You are. You are. I feel the same way. I mean, like I said, Stacy was my first friend, and we are still very close. And we actually went to one of her daughter's weddings. But I also have 3 best friends from high school. Ironically, we weren't all friends together in high school. One of us was friends with all of us and kind of brought us together. And we've grown up like as a family. Like our kids are like cousins. Like we celebrate holidays
We don't-
together.
we don't have a big
birthdays
family,
together. Right.
so.
They're like our family because we don't have a big family. And I can't imagine my life without them. And actually, who I work for today, his wife was one of my best friends growing up too. So I don't have a ton of friends, but the friends I have are our family. They're extremely important.
Why don't we shout them out because they're going to be expecting it.
Yeah. You set the bar high, Linda.
Name them off.
set
All right, Mona, Debbie, and Jill are my high school friends. And definitely Sharon. Well, she was a part of that group too.
Shout out to Sharon. Allie's our editor, which is her daughter.
Yes.
Definitely, yes.
So thanks, Sharon, for making our editor.
Well, and then my husband, his best friend, moved to Ohio many years ago, and they were actually just here. And I became very close with his wife as well, and she's one of my very best friends.
That's awesome.
Kaylee.
Mom, okay. Were there any similarities between me and you as children?
No.
Is that good or bad?
I love that.
Okay, so good-heartedness, absolutely. I was an extremely placid child, so you were not that. You were definitely your father's daughter.
Yeah.
But as far as empathy, good-hearted, always, for another person, yes, similarities were huge. Drive, how driven you were, I think from a very young age, and I did not have that. So again, I want to say you were more your father's child that way because he was driven from the day he was born.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as having a big heart and caring about people and animals and yes.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about you, Mom? Do we have any similarities?
As kids?
Yeah.
No. I honestly, no, I don't think so. You're definitely like Linda said, you're your dad's daughter. I was very shy and I didn't know, I had like no direction. And you kind of always knew what you were doing and you always had confidence. And even if you didn't have confidence, you faked it.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
One of my mom's favorite frickin' sayings, because I'm sure it's going to come up, is keep moving forward.
Yes. Well, I used to always say to my kids, life's not fair, get over it. And when things would go badly, I'd be like, okay, take a minute, be upset, be mad, cry, yell, but keep moving forward, move on. Everybody has crap. I didn't say that back then, but I always say, keep moving forward. You can't, because you can't go back, you can't change things, you can just make it better and go forward. Even when things are terrible, and everybody goes through
That's
bad
very true.
and good.
Yeah.
Cute. So, what was your biggest fear about having kids? What was your biggest fear about being a mom?
That I would be able to provide you with everything that you not just needed but wanted. And I was just doubting myself, like, would I be a good mom? You know, it's scary. Like, I I babysat all the time. I was always around kids, but being responsible for the outcome of somebody is a little scary.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, me neither.
I was scared that I wouldn't be good enough and that I would make too many mistakes. I always knew I'd make mistakes. But now I look at who you are and I say, damn, I did a good job.
Aww. I love that.
What about you, Linda?
My biggest fear would have probably been anyone with health issues.
Yeah.
Because I grew up watching health issues, and that's what I knew. As far as anything else, it's as long as they were safe and healthy, that's what I could just hope
She's
for.
like mentally
pray for.
probably fucked up, but as long as they're healthy.
Yeah, as long as they were healthy and happy. And again, because I just always grew up with health issues and watching those, not health issues of my own.
And now we all have health
And then we
issues.
all have health issues. But the most wonderful days of my life, I want to say, is probably having both my daughters. You're so in love with your first child when you have them because you don't know of having a second child.
Right.
And you say, oh my God, how am I going to love this baby the way I love this one?
Right.
And the second you have that baby, it's like a shade that just pulls over and just groups everybody together. And that love is just unconditionally there. And it is the most wonderful feeling. So yeah. Okay, I could say it. God is good.
What is the most trouble you've ever gotten in?
I was young. I was a teenager. I was 15, and I had a boyfriend that I did not know because he lied, was much older. Like, he would be in trouble older. But I didn't know, and he took me to Staten Island, speaking of islands.
The island.
Yeah, not a nice place, in my opinion, but... And he brought me to meet his ex-girlfriend, and he had gotten me drunk, and I was probably drunk for the first time, and she said something nasty to me, and I took a cup of water and I threw it in her face, and I turned away, and as I turned away, she punched me square in the nose and shattered it.
Holy shit. Oh my God.
That was the worst trouble.
Jesus.
If someone threw water at me, I'd punch them too.
Well,
You owned it,
Damn.
I did.
though. You owned it.
Damn.
What about you, Linda? What's the most trouble you've ever gotten in?
I don't know what kind of trouble. I think I saw trouble coming. I ran. I don't know.
That's fair.
I very quietly ran
Smart,
away.
very smart.
Why don't you tell the story of Dad?
Well, he was always in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was owed money and the person wasn't coming. He owned a body shop and was very well known. He had hands of gold. So people used to bring their cars to him from all over. And he did this person's car and they didn't come around to pay him. So he drove into an area that wasn't the best area, I guess, and told me, wait right here, I'll be right back. And he went into this building and people came running out saying, oh my God, that guy is crazy, get out of the building. And he came out counting money. And
Hey,
yeah,
got what he went for.
yeah, he was the most unique, wonderful man you'd ever want to know.
Also
Personality was beyond. My soulmate, did lose him 1.5 years ago, which is still a heartbreak. But he was such a huge presence in life. He made his mark in life hugely. And he was just a very different person and loved by many.
You guys were like yin and yang because I feel like he was very like crazy and she was very like, okay.
That's enough now.
That's a good match.
Yeah. Okay, wait, now, not to cut you off, Mom, but
You just did.
I'm sorry. No, I had an idea. I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite thing about your mom growing up?
Oh,
That's a good
okay.
one.
There's a lot, so don't be offended what I'm going to say. Being in school, we were still in a generation. I keep thinking you're so much younger than me. But you're not. We were in a generation where like the transition of stay-at-home moms to working moms was beginning to happen and beginning to be more common. But you know, I actually noticed at a young age that my mom was a big deal at her job. But yeah, I always just remember like feeling so proud because, you know, like my mom worked and I actually, you know, growing up, it was like, oh, that sucks. Like she can't come to everything. But at the same time, I would remember like, well, almost like my mom's a badass. She's the breadwinner. What can I say?
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
And plus my mom was always like, I don't want to, and I don't mean vain in a bad way, but she always, she always took care of like the way she looked. So I was always like, I'm like, yeah, that's my mom.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
what's yours?
Mine, this goes into like a few different things, but you were just like a cool mom. It'd be like April and she's like, morning. It'd be like school time. She's like, do you want to go to the beach or do you want to go to school? And I'd be like, I want.
What the
heck,
like, Mom?
Yeah, I was like, I want to go to the beach.
I was working.
Yeah, literally. She was like, great, we'll go to the beach. Like, she used to take me out of school if it was like 12 o'clock, and she was like, it's 85, we're going to the beach. I'm telling them you have a doctor's appointment.
Oh, I want your mom to be my mom.
She literally, if I didn't want to go to school, and if I gave her a good enough reason, she was like, done, don't go. And then also, you were just like, the mom of the friend group kind of thing. Like if anyone was having boy troubles or anything, they would call me and be like, can I come over and talk to your mom? And I was like, come on over. They would sit down like heart to hearts with her because she wouldn't be like judgmental. She would just be like, okay, you know, and this is how you should go about it, you know, because I think they were scared to like tell their own moms and their mom would be like, oh, you did what or whatever. So she was very chill in that way. You were just like a very cool mom. Like I always felt very comfortable to this day I tell her friggin' everything. So, yeah, I think that's one of them.
So growing up, what did you think you wanted to do for a living?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, growing up, I wanted to be a stay-home mom into my late 20s is what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. I loved kids. I wanted to be able to work with kids, and I think I missed my calling. I wish I had gone to school to working with special needs. Absolutely love children. I work with children now. Wake up in the morning. I very much look forward to going and seeing these bright faces. The things that they say, the only time that they can say it when they're young, and that it's adorable. Otherwise, when they're older, it doesn't go the same way. But their faces, or when they've realized something for the first time and the light bulb goes on, and I get to watch that every day, is just so amazing. It's just heart-filling. And I definitely feel if I could have done something over, I wish I could have gone back to school and gotten certified to work within special ed or special, you know, or just with children in school and teach or be more of a certified.
Yeah.
You're definitely very nurturing. My little will tell me things and she'll be like, well, my mom said this. And I'm like, well, suck it up.
That's something
I say
I
that
would
also,
say.
though.
She says that also.
I say that a lot.
She goes,
I feel like
her word is
Get
tough
over it.
shit. There you go, tough shit. There was a meme once of this guy, and he was like an interviewer, and he was, or like weather or whatever, and he's interviewing, and then he looks over and he goes, hold on. And he goes, sorry, that's my mom. And he's like, Mom, what are you doing here? Like the car pulls up and she's like, hi, baby. And he's like, Mom, he's like, I'm working right now. And she's like, and he's like, yeah, he's like, who's that? And she's like, this is Eric or whatever. And she's like, hi, Eric. She's like, okay, love you, baby. I can't tell you the amount of people who sent that to me and was like, this is your mother. I was like, yep, that's absolutely my mother.
be
And
on
always
like
will be.
you could be on like the biggest stage and you're like, oh, your hair, come here.
Yeah,
I've
she'll be
learned
in the
to be
wings.
in the back with
Yeah.
that one now.
She's very much like that.
That's funny. What about you, Mom? What did you think you wanted to do?
I wanted to be a lawyer for sure. But I didn't go to college, so that wasn't a possibility.
Like, why didn't you go to school though?
I didn't do well in school. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of self-confidence, and I was very immature, I feel like. And because I didn't do well in school, my parents never pushed me. I don't think they thought maybe I was smart enough, but they were wrong. I just I hadn't grown into myself at that point. And if I could go back, I would have focused more on school and doing well.
How have your notions of what it means to be a woman changed over your lifetime?
In my lifetime. Okay. I definitely have changed over time. I feel, and this is weird, usually people go the opposite. I've become more conservative as I've gotten older. My feeling is I feel like I've become more down the road on a lot of different things in life. Whereas when I was younger, I was all one side and I didn't see the other
like
side.
black and white.
I saw things as more black and white, not just political or religious or just everything. I thought it was just had to be this way or it had to be that way. And that way was wrong. And I think that was just the way maybe I grew up or the way things were back then. But now I can be on one side on one topic and on another side on another topic. And I feel comfortable with that. And I say how I feel, I think in a respectful way. And I don't let people shit on me anymore. As I grew up, I was definitely someone that took a step back and assessed what people were saying and took it too much to heart. And now I'm just kind of like, I know who I am. I know where I stand. I know who I surround myself with, and they accept me for who I am and what I'm going to say. And I'm a very honest person. And that, Alex, I feel like is like me.
You can take credit.
Yeah, like we say what we want to say, and we are judgmental. We really are. But I'm okay with that. And I'm vain. I don't think there's anything wrong with caring about how you look or what you say or where you go or I don't know. I feel like those are important things in life. When people say, "Oh, I don't care. I'm happy just the way I am." Bullshit.
I think in time, though, it becomes...
You get more
as
comfortable.
you get older, there are life lessons, and you learn differently about things, and it just changes. You realize when you're younger and less experienced that things change.
Right.
And, you know, what's that saying? Time is...
The youth is wasted on the young.
On the young. Yeah, I think it's a lot of that.
No, I think you're 100% right, because as time goes on, your experience in life changes, your attitude and thoughts and views can change, and I think that's good. It means you're evolving as a person.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay the way you were when you were 17. And it may not be so good.
Yeah.
They're life lessons.
Yeah.
You know, you shouldn't be the same as you're 17.
Yeah.
And everybody's experience and things brings them to a different point.
Oh, absolutely.
Linda, do you have anything to add, though? Like, how have your notions of what it means to be a woman over your life changed? Have you changed? Have you kind of stuck your heels in the sand kind of thing? What?
I want to say, and I'll take this going back and then bring it forward fast.
I love that.
Yeah, just being confident, learning life lessons, and being strong. There's always something that has to be done, that you have to do. There's work to be done ahead of you. And as long as we're here, I'm going to be as strong as I possibly can. So sometimes Xanax helps, but we won't get into that. But anyway.
Xanax definitely helps.
Yeah, it's okay. So
She's taught me that since I was young. Even just like being in like theater and the arts and stuff, like there's a lot of rejection and there's a lot of like people are mean and the moms are mean, like in auditions and stuff. And my mom was like, yeah, you're your best friend. She was like, anyone can say anything about you, but you're your best friend. If you like you, that's all that matters. Everyone else can go fuck themselves.
everybody else is taken, you do you.
Yeah. And she used to always say that to me. And she said, you can't be everything to everyone, but you can be some things to some people.
This is kind of 2 in 1. I guess if you had the opportunity as a mother, as a woman, either or both, would you do something differently or over again? Like, would you change something? And to teeter off that, would you give yourself any specific life advice looking back?
Me first?
Yeah, go ahead.
I always said, and I'm glad that you don't have bad memories of this, but I always feel like I missed a lot when you were little, and your brother. I worked a lot, and I traveled at some point for a while, and I felt like I missed things. But you have reassured me that I was there for all the important things, so that makes me feel better.
Dad came to the other things and then would get in trouble because he dropped like $200 at the gift shop.
Yes.
Those were great memories.
Yeah. But I still would change in the sense that my priorities, I think, were a little backwards, and it was just because I was coming into myself and figuring out who I was in my career, and I would prioritize you and your brother a little more than I did, only because in the end they let me go after 13 years of devoting so much of my time to them.
Well, that was the stock market crash.
Yeah. So it was. So that's the only thing I would change as far as that. What was the other question?
What advice you would give yourself? Like, it doesn't have to be about that.
Age, you got this.
To you?
Yeah, to myself.
I like that. I like that.
All right, Linda, what about you?
As far as raising my kids, I would probably not change a thing. I think I've done the best I can do. Just being there, loving them. And yeah, I don't think I would change anything.
So what advice would you give yourself then if you were able to like go back in time, pick one moment and just like give yourself a brief piece of advice?
That I would give myself. You've got to push forward. You just
Keep moving forward.
There it is.
no matter what it is,
true.
and God knows we've been handed, all of us, a lot of different pain, and you have to move forward. Life goes on, and you have to do your very best.
I like it. Yeah. Well, thank you both for coming on. This was so great. Thank you to Top That Donuts in Rutherford.
Yes.
We are going to eat the rest of this. Joe's going to get one. He's probably very excited. He can hear us over there. And yeah, again, thank you guys. This was great.
Thanks
This
for
was
having
fun.
us.
Yes, thank you for having
love
us.
you
It's
both.
a pleasure.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining again, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.